Viewer discretion is advised. All right, here we go. You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where two friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Yeah.
I'm Amanda.
I'm Lucy.
And this week, we have a very special fan pick. This is the first episode of the new year.
Happy New Year.
So Lucy and I showered, put on makeup, did our hair, and set unreasonable, unsustainable beauty standards for the coming year by doing this for our first episode of 2025.
I took my annual shower.
Once a year, babes, and it's the afternoon we have to record the first episode of the new year. So
Yep,
you're welcome.
You're welcome.
With a very special fan pick from our gal, Lindsay Huber.
Lindsay Huber.
Yep. And Lucy, do you want to share this little bit?
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay.
So Lindsay shared a little bit with us about her family, a recent loss, and thus the inspiration for this topic. So Lindsay says, this past summer, I lost my dog, Whiskey, and had been thinking of sponsoring a Whiskey Crimes episode. Whiskey Crimes episode in his memory. And since I'd want to basically dedicate this episode to my pupperino, I wondered if I could also submit a little something about whiskey for the gals to read in the intro. Because Lindsay wrote an obituary. Whiskey himself listened to many episodes I'd play them at home, and I'm sure he would be touched to hear the gals learn a little bit about him.
Yay! Oh my God, I love a dog obit. Remember in a Manic episode after Burke died when I made you edit with a fine-tooth comb a dog obit because I was determined to have it published in the newspaper, but then I got the quote on how much it would cost and immediately was like, I'm not doing this.
It's per character. You were going to pay like $650
minimum.
for.
And I was like, all right, I'm grieving, but I'm not grieving that much.
It was a beautiful tribute.
That
regardless.
I have no idea where it is or what it said. So
I'm sure it's still in my email. If I can find it, we're going to post it online.
Yes. Thank you for going on that journey with me and supporting your manic friend.
Yes.
Not that this makes you manic, Lindsay.
No.
All
Amanda
I'm
was
saying
manic.
Is I went about this differently.
Okay, here's Whiskey's obit. Whiskey crossed the Rainbow Bridge on June 22nd, 2024. And just as he was stoic and stubborn in life, he chose to go out in the same way. It was quick and on his terms, and he was surrounded with love until the very end. Whiskey was a happy boy, and he loved so many things. Playing with bubbles in the yard, I could never blow more fast enough. Wearing costumes, he had so many Halloween costumes. His favorite was a hot dog costume and Christmas sweaters. And lovingly chewing on his four-legged siblings.
Oh, God.
So, I hope none of them were like hamsters.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Hamsters, a bird that weirdly had four legs. Weird household. Living for it.
My cousin, Anthony.
It's Anthony, not Anthony.
Anthony.
And it's not my fault I have four legs.
I'm half ant. Sorry, we're both really high right now.
Yeah, what is happening? Okay, continue.
Whiskey loved playing and eating snow, playing Find the Cookie, which was finding hidden treats, playing fetch, and playing hide and seek with me.
Find the cookie's a little different in my house.
True. Find the cookie.
Find the cookie.
It's a hidden treat. Rolling in the grass like a horse, being brushed even though it tickled, and he'd shake almost immediately after I was finished.
Oh, God.
Chin scritches, belly rubs, butt scratches, chewing on Nyla bones, ripping up toys to find the squeaker. Yep. Also means something different in my house.
Find the squeaker.
Eating grass and keeping watch and barking out the window at anything and everything. Using the Christmas tree, raspberry bushes, and anything else he could get underneath as a back and butt scratcher.
Better than a toilet, babe.
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting toilet.
Well, toilets are too smooth.
No, I mean like he was peeing on them.
Oh, I thought you meant
Using
getting
them
under
as
a toilet. Yes. Christmas tree, raspberry bush. Sleeping on his armchair, his couch, his bed, my bed. I swear, this pup had more furniture than I did in the living room.
Oh.
And snuggling with me on many of them 1,000,000 times over. He loved visiting and having sleepovers at his Nana and Pappy's, going for walks, hikes, and swimming, and going after squirrels while on walks. He'd try to go after cats while on walks, and I'd always say, "Leave it, we have cats at home," and crack myself up.
We have cats at home. We have Pop-Tarts at home.
We have McDonald's at home.
We're not going through the drive-thru.
And one of his very favorite things was visits from all his human friends and family who loved him so very much. He could be a shy pup, but he loved his people. I spent more time with Whisk than probably any human in my adult life, and we shared thousands of moments. He would have been 14 on Halloween, and I was so lucky to get nearly 13 years with him.
He's a spooky little bitch. He didn't want to go out on 14. He wanted to go out on 13 like a little creep.
Yep.
So he did it. Good for him.
We got a picture of Whiskey. Whiskey photos from... Yep, there he is. Little wiry brown guy.
In the email or on the draw? Oh, whiskey photos. Oh!
Whiskey photos.
Oh!
He's wearing his hot dog costume.
Fucking God, this dog is magnificent.
Yeah.
What a goober.
Just imagine a dog, and that's what Whiskey looks like.
Pretty much. He's got kind of a Benji vibe to him, but even a little more, he's taller and more
bigger.
wiry. Oh, he looks like a shrunken down, derpy Irish wolfhound.
Yes.
I love him.
Yes.
He has eyeshadow and liner.
And just really pink lips.
Oh, I'm obsessed.
He came into my life when I didn't even know I needed him and stuck with me through the last of my 20s, all of my 30s, and the beginning of my 40s. He happily greeted me at the door every time I came home and gave me an unlimited amount of unconditional love.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
Whiskey is survived by his cat brother, Bailey's, and cat sister, Moonshine. And yes, all three are named after liquor.
You're in the right place, honey. You're home.
I was in my 20s when I adopted all of them, and it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Wow.
Whisk, you were the bestest boy, and I hope I see you again someday.
Unbelievable. So yes, for Whiskey,
Lindsay.
And for Lindsay, we're doing whiskey crimes today.
We are whiskey crimes. Amanda, what is our wine pairing for whiskey crimes?
Not pairing wine. Here's the thing. We're obviously pairing a whiskey beverage today. And I support people who can drink this bad decision making poison potion. Y'all are stronger than I will ever be. Whiskey and I are not friends.
What was the final straw?
The Rock Bottom Brewery pickleback incident of 2011. My longtime boyfriend, no one that I was with when this podcast started, and we're still friends to this day, but we were together for like 6 years. And we also worked together at Rock Bottom Brewery, and we broke up while we were still working together. It was rough. Things transpired that I will not get into detail on. They're his fault. And one night I got off work early and went across the hallway to American Burger Bar, RIP, also Rock Bottom, RIP. And with a good girlfriend of mine who's probably listening, and you know exactly who the fuck you are. And no, it's not Michelle for the first time ever. Michelle from Coon Rapids.
Oh, yeah.
It was Kelsey. Anyway, we started doing shots of Jameson, and that was the first time I'd ever had a pickleback.
Oh.
And I was always like, oh my God, I can't shoot whiskey. And it was either Kelsey or one of the bartenders was like, oh,
yes, you can.
You can. And I'm gonna show you the world shining, shimmering, splendid.
No.
So I did about 6, maybe 7.
Were you on the clock?
No, I got cut early. But you know who was on the clock? My ex. And I thought that was the moment to barge in and go back to the expo line and start screaming at them. Drunk as a skunk.
Yeah.
With a packed restaurant. And a manager did usher me out and said I was 86 for the night. And I did get to keep my job, but I didn't get written up. And you know what? Fair.
How did you keep your job after that?
I am very well liked.
I paid her off big.
No, I mean, I was good at my job, and I actually was very well liked. And you know what? They called me old rubber face and made me pry a dried turd off of a toilet there when I was hosting and called me turd princess for like 2 years. So I deserved one fuck up.
You know
okay?
What? What? Do you know what, turd princess? You're right.
I paid my dues. So, yeah, I've barely touched the stuff since. Sometimes one of you assholes, and yes, I am talking to you, the listener, will rope me into it at like a meetup or a live show because I have terminal FOMO and I cannot say no. I'm just a girl who can't say no. Yep. But I do not really fuck with whiskey anymore, period. But
not even Jameson on a certain someone's birthday?
Yes, I do once a year for Jessica for Shots Heard Around the World. I do. And I love her, but I drool into my sink every time.
Yeah.
But so I'm not drinking whiskey today because I hate myself, but not that much. I don't want to feel it. I'm smoking out of the cutest little device that I can't show because we want to be able to monetize these videos, but it's so cute. Anyway, but what I do love on occasion is a mint julep, a classic whiskey drink.
Aren't juleps rum? What am I thinking of? Mojitos.
Mojitos are rum.
Okay.
Juleps are whiskey. So to make yourself a mint julep, I just pulled a very standard classic recipe from foodandwine.com. You will take 8 fresh mint leaves and a couple of mint sprigs just for the garnish.
Okay.
You want a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. You want 2 ounces of whiskey or bourbon. You want crushed ice. And then in a chilled julep cup or fizz glass, get a tall boy. Get a tall glass. You put the mint leaves in first, not the sprig for your garnish. Set that aside. You muddle the leaves. Now, you probably don't have a muddler. You can use the handle end of like a wooden spatula. That's a great in the moment shit who has a muddler.
Any handle that's like rounded.
Also in a pinch, you can gently with a spoon, the back of a spoon, you tilt the glass so that your herbs kind of bunch up in the corner of the glass and you could take a spoon and get a pretty decent muddle out of that. So those are some tricks if you don't have a muddler. So you muddle those leaves in the bottom with your simple syrup. Get it a little wet, a little green. Then you add your whiskey or your bourbon, your crushed ice. You use a swizzle stick or a bar spoon in the cup and spin that spoon to mix it, almost like make a tiny blender so that it just funnels up and everything looks good. Then you top it with additional crushed ice and your garnish of mint sprigs, and you enjoy a fresh, refreshing, classic cocktail that might not leave you with as many regrets as mine did. I don't know what accent I just turned into. I'm very high.
But not leave you with as many regrets
as mine did. And you know what? When we go to Ireland, yeah, I'm going to drink it. And no, I'm not going to like it. And yeah, I'm going to puke. But you know what? YOLO.
What's an international vacation without a little vomit?
Literally. I puked so much on like my last day and a half in fucking Rome.
Italy, South Africa. Those are the only international trips you and I have
been on together. But there was puke in both of them.
Half the time, yes.
God bless it. So
Well, I had some Jameson in my liquor cabinet.
Jamie Coke?
Jamo Coke.
Yum.
I don't know.
You're going to do great.
Well, I got my Grimace glass, if nothing else.
God bless. He's seen unfathomable futures.
Just.
All right. So cheers to all of the brave whiskey drinkers out there. I'm just going to be puffing. And should we take a little break to hear a word from our sponsors?
I would love that.
Here's the thing. It's kind of gross out. Even those of us that embrace the chilly weather need something to break up long winter nights. And something I love to do is treat myself. Get a little treat, get a little something. But I also can't spend a fortune on my winter blues. So that is where Quince comes in.
Yeah, Quince is offering excellent post-holiday pricing if you want to just pick up a couple of things that you maybe didn't get from Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
With Quince, you can treat yourself to everyday luxury at an affordable price. Something everyone needs in their closet, in my opinion, is Quince's iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters.
Ugh.
These are so soft. And
they're stunning.
They start at $50. Or if you want to really up that luxe factor, check out their Italian leather handbags, their washable silk skirts, and European linen sheet sets.
Washable silk, babes.
I also got an Italian leather laptop backpack.
Cute.
I love it. It's so cute. Whatever you're looking for, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They're jewelry, people.
Mm-hmm.
You have got to check out their jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
They're able to have such affordable prices by partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, passing those savings on to you. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. And of course, they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel in every piece. Listen, you're going to get targeted ads.
Mm-hmm.
Give in.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot do better than Quince.
You can't. I lived in the knit fisherman sweater. It's like this beautiful, pure white
Oh my
that's
God,
so
it's
easy
so
to wash.
pretty.
I lived in it over all of the holidays. I wore it to all of my holiday gatherings. It was gorgeous. So treat yourself this winter without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/wine for 365-day returns plus free shipping on your order. That's QUINCE.com/wine to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/wine. If you're listening right now, unclench your jaw, relax your mouth, and understand that millions of Americans grind or clench their teeth at night, and most don't even know that you're doing it, okay? So if you're waking up and you've got jaw pain, maybe you have a headache after a night's sleep, there's a very high likelihood that you grind or clench your teeth, babe. Teeth grinding, also known as bruxism or TMJ, is generally caused by stress. We all got that. And it can cause serious damage, such as eroding away your enamel and even broken teeth, which leads to very expensive dental bills that nobody wants.
Yeah, I am definitely a nighttime clencher.
She's a night grinder, babes.
I'm a night grinder. So this partnership with Remy was like the perfect thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Remy is an at-home custom mouth guard, like fitter.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get your custom mouth guard.
Yeah.
You do everything at home. It comes in a super easy little kit. It's actually kind of like a fun science experiment. You warm up this putty and then you roll the blue and the white together and then you put it in the tray and then you stick the tray in your mouth for just a couple of minutes, pull it out, mail it back. If you have any questions at all, their customer service is outstanding. I live video chatted with a real person to help me through this.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking about, maybe there is some grinding at night, some clenching at night, if you've at all considered a custom mouth guard, you got to check out Remy before you go to a really costly, in-person visit that you really do not need. Remy makes dental-grade professional quality mouth guards without that painful price tag. They're up to 80% cheaper than what you'd pay at the dentist.
Yeah.
And like I said, you don't have to go visit your dentist.
Nope.
Which is quite possibly the best part. Plus, with a 45-night satisfaction guarantee, you can try it risk-free, you can sleep better, and then decide if it's the perfect fit. And if not, Remy has got you covered. And it's so comfortable to use at night. I'm a very light sleeper, and they're so thin and they just fit on your teeth. You don't even know that you have them in.
I love that. Remy is truly for anyone dealing with nighttime grinding, clenching, or jaw pain who wants an affordable solution to protect their smile and say good night to jaw pain and headaches. Head to shopremy.com/gals and use code GALS to save up to 50%. That's 50% off at shopremi.com/gals with code GALS. So give your teeth a break without breaking the bank with Remy. And thank you, Remy, for sponsoring this episode.
You know that I love my TV shows, my shows.
Oh, yeah.
So missing out on one of my shows that everyone else is talking about is not an option for me. I need to know why why Caleb and Marissa broke up.
Seriously?
I gotta know.
Yeah.
I am constantly signing up for this streaming service or that one, a free week here. And then several months later, I realized that I've been paying for this service way after I finished the entire season.
Oops.
But getting Rocket Money was a total game changer for me. They will find your unwanted subscriptions and even help you cancel them so you never have to worry about them slipping through the cracks.
Rocket Money is your best friend. It's also a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. See all of your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going for once in your dang life. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. This is truly a millennial phone anxiety haver's dream. I never would have made those calls, babe. Now Rocket Money can take care of it. Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all of your linked accounts. You can easily create a personalized budget with custom categories to keep your spending on track. You can get alerts if bills increase in price, if there's unusual spending activity, or if you're close to going over that budget that you set. And they have the new goals feature that automatically saves money for you so you don't have to think about it. Maybe you have a credit card bill you want to pay off, or you want to put away money for a house, or you just really want to build that savings. Rocket Money makes it so easy. Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lower bills for you. They will automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you. They'll deal with customer service so you don't have to. It is a dream. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features.
Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/gals today. That's rocketmoney.com/gals, rocketmoney.com/gals.
Lucy, what is our background? Maybe psych, maybe a case for whiskey crimes?
Well, I got no psych because,
Yeah.
It's just whiskey. Whiskey, with or without an E, sometimes it's WHISKY and sometimes it's EY. We'll get to it. Whiskey is a type of liquor made from fermented grain mash. So various grains, some of which might be malted. So if a grain is malted, that means that they've just been steeped a little bit, so they germinate just a little bit, and that releases sugars and carbohydrates that affect the flavor and also the color of the resulting grain juice, aka alcohol. So these various grains are used for different varieties of whiskeys, and those grains include barley, corn, rye, wheat, grains.
Yeah. Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
The levee was not malted.
And them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing "This Will Be the Day That I Die."
Because we're whiskey and rye. I might die.
Bad idea.
Whiskey is typically aged in wooden casks, which are typically made of charred white oak. Charred. But uncharred white oak casks, which were previously used for the aging of port, rum, or sherry, are also sometimes used. So
sometimes they go into uncharted territory.
Yes! Clever girl.
You get one pun a year, and I blew it on the first day.
Second.
Oh, yeah.
But they're kind of like tenured casks, which is sort of like what I got out of it. Like it retains some of the flavors and colors from things that have been previous, like sweeter things like the sherry, the rum.
Oh, yeah. Just like wine.
Just like wine. It's all in a cask.
Yeah.
Whiskey is a strictly regulated spirit worldwide with many classes and types. The typical unifying characteristics of the different classes and types are the fermentation of the grains, the distillation, and the aging in wooden barrels. Mm-hmm. So back to the spelling of whiskey. So whiskey with an EY is used in Ireland and the United States, while whiskey with just a Y is more often used in Scotland, Canada, and pretty much everywhere else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So some people like to mansplain and say, well, it depends on the country of origin is how you spell it.
Right.
But like, not really. It depends on the country you're writing it. Mm-hmm. So in the U.S., since the 1960s, American writers have just pretty much used the EY whiskey. Mm-hmm. So the word whiskey, regardless of how you spell it,
I feel like that's our fuck you to the Brits who add like a U in color or flavor, color. Yeah, well, we're going to put an E in whiskey. Bitch.
Behavior. Yeah. Aluminium.
Yeah. Get over yourself.
It's spelled the same way. They just say it differently.
Yeah.
Douche. So the word...
Ooh, that got me.
Regardless of how you spell it, the word whiskey is an anglicization of the classic Gaelic word wishy, which means water. Mm. But also they now write it as I don't know how to fucking say this, but whiskey in modern Irish and whiskey in Scottish Gaelic.
Okay, it's
all. Tied.
Some Irish pub owners can explain this to us when we're there in the fall.
And I bet if we asked 50 people, we would get 50 different answers.
We probably would.
So you might be wondering, where does bourbon come in? Mm-hmm. Bourbon is a type of whiskey that is made throughout the United States but originated in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Bourbon is made with at least 51% corn, along with other grains such as, again, wheat, rye, barley, whatever.
And a mint julep is like a Kentucky classic, so it'll say bourbon in all of those recipes. Mm-hmm. But it's yes and. There's like a slightly different flavor profile to it, but if you're not real good at whiskey, you're probably not going to fucking notice the difference.
I can taste a difference, and in my mind, bourbon tastes worse than whiskey.
Yeah.
It has more of that raw, kind of chemically, like your brain is like, something's wrong, spit it out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm. And I feel like people expect bourbon to be sweeter, but neither are really sweet. And the sweetness comes so much more from what it's aged in that affects the flavor profile.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's why, like, bourbon is okay with, like, I can start to enjoy it if it's over like crushed ice and also with a little bit of like 7-Up or Squirt or something.
If I could start to enjoy it if I'm already hammered and I can't feel my mouth.
Yeah.
That's when bourbon can make an appearance in my life.
That's when we can get along. Mm-hmm. So bourbon, like I said, it has to be made from mostly corn, at least 51% corn. The production process for bourbon involves distilling the fermented grains and aging the resulting spirit in never-before-used charred oak barrels, so those fresh ones, for at least 2 years.
Okay.
So you could say that, like, sherry, port are on one end of the flavor profile spectrum of whiskey, and bourbon is kind of at the other end.
Yeah. Although sherry and port are, like, closer to wine. They don't use grain.
Yeah, but it's just like a lot sweeter.
Right.
So bourbon is known for its, this says sweet and smooth flavor profile with notes of vanilla, caramel, and oak. Mm-hmm. It's typically served neat or on the rocks and is a popular ingredient in classic cocktails such as the Old Fashioned and the Manhattan. So unlike bourbon, whiskey does not have to be made from 51% corn, at least. Additionally, whiskey can be aged in, like we said, those previously used charred oak barrels. Whiskey also has a wider range of flavor profiles depending on the specific type, region, and production process.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the primary differences. Bourbon is a type of whiskey. It has a much narrower flavor profile.
Mm-hmm.
The history of whiskey, basically has to start with the invention of distillation, which was first, quote unquote, discovered / recorded happening in Mesopotamia 2,000 years ago.
That's wild. That shit's so fucking cool.
I know. So this process spread west into Europe, eventually making it up into Ireland and Scotland, both of which claim to be the inventors of whiskey.
Mm-hmm. But it's like, nah, basically ancient Mesopotamia figured it out.
Yeah,
maybe they weren't making whiskey, but they were distilling something into spirits. I mean, humans have been fucking stumbling upon and then figuring out ways to make booze since we could walk upright.
But that's... Okay, so that's kind of my point.
Mm-hmm.
Neither Ireland or Scotland had grapes, so can't get drunk off no grapes.
Mm-hmm.
But what they lacked in grapes, they more than made up for with grains like barley, wheat, etc. So they already had all the stuff. If they hadn't actually developed the process yet, they definitely had the ingredients.
For
and then all of a sudden, it's like, they try something and then 2 months later it's fermented, it's whiskey, and they're like, oh,
yeah,
okay, now we're gonna party.
We killed it.
So it was called aquavitae by the Scots, and in 1405 the term whiskey was found in the Annals of Clonmacnoise.
I love the Annals of Clone McJoy.
Annals of Clonmacnoise, which is an ancient book of Irish history. So
is aquavit, as we know it today, what that is?
So aquavit is a distilled spirit that is principally produced in Scandinavia, where it has been produced since the 15th century.
Well, okay then. Totally different things.
So, well, it's also distilled from grain or potatoes, and it's also flavored with spices and herbs.
Okay, so they use a similar process, different like aging and storage.
Yeah. Northern Germany up into Scandinavia. And yeah, it's got more of that licoricey. It's definitely not
anise.
The same ingredients. Caraway. Ugh, I don't like it.
Oh, I do.
I don't. You do?
Yeah, I like aquavit.
Okay.
I know. I'm weird.
There aren't many liquors I can't deal with, and that's one of them.
Let me lift
Whoa.
this. They were really hanging.
Hello. They really were.
Hanging milkers 2025. Told you we were bringing new content to the pod. Check out these milk
Head on
bags.
over to YouTube, see the video.
Yeah, let's grow that Uncorked subscription. This is what you came for, right?
Amanda's tits uncorked. Okay, so
Meredith, your boob is out. Sorry. Okay. What? It's casual day.
Shut up, Angela! Okay, so between Ireland, Scotland, whiskey, let's say they both invented it. It's a tie. Let's move on. Like, there's literally no way to know.
Everybody
it was probably
calm down.
Both of you.
Yeah. Two innovations can happen simultaneously based on the innovations of generations before you.
Or you're not that far apart. Maybe same gal who invented it in one spot, went across the street, invented it in the other spot.
She was fucking both of you, and y'all got played.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a tie. Move on.
Sorry.
In America, the U.S., whiskey was used as currency during the American Revolution.
I love this shit. This shit.
George Washington himself operated a large distillery at Mount Vernon, his home. Given the distances and primitive transportation network of colonial America, farmers who grew corn often found it easier and more profitable to convert the corn into whiskey and transport it that way to the market because it got them more money. It was easier to transport. Fuck, we don't need to go sell raw ass corn.
No.
Just make it into whiskey and then sell it.
Mm-hmm.
It was also, whiskey was a highly coveted trade good. And when an additional excise tax was levied against whiskey in 1791, that's when the Whiskey Rebellion erupted.
People don't like high taxes that they don't see the benefit of. I'm here for it.
The tax thing is, I get it, but like, you can't have inflation without higher taxation.
No, I mean,
you're not going to be able to perpetually cut taxes.
No. I mean, I know.
I know you know. But yeah, but this so like America had become like its own nation 72 hours earlier.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, we have a lot of debts to pay off because of the Revolutionary War. Like, we built this government, but it costs us a lot of money. So they created this special tax to put specifically on whiskey to make up for those debts. And people went berserk.
Well, yeah, because everybody's drinking.
It's not even just that everyone was drinking, but it's because it disproportionately affected small family distilleries and those farms. Like those farmers who were like, well, fuck, I'm just going to make whiskey instead of carting all my corn. There were a lot of those farmers and people. So
that
they were like,
over.
Yeah, then they have to pay, like, I don't know what the percentage was, but let's just say it's a 40% tax. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Yep.
So this was a really consequential event in the earliest days of the U.S. government. People would like abduct the tax collectors and like tar and feather them.
Yikes. But also, I mean, that would be a shitty way to be harmed or killed.
Yeah, I don't think we talk enough about tarring and feathering.
I'm fine with how much we talk about tarring and feathering.
It's a hot tar.
Yeah. I don't want to discuss it much further.
It's not great.
No. It's really bad.
So a little bit more about how Americans have used whiskey as currency. And a lot of this information that I'm going to read next comes to us from Bernie Drake, who was a past president of the Peoria Historical Society.
Okay.
So during the Civil War, Peoria, which if you're unfamiliar, is a bustling metropolis on the Illinois River. The town actually funded, like I said, the Union's war effort. No, this is different. This is the Civil War.
Okay.
Peoria funded the Union's war efforts and played a pivotal role in helping the Union defeat the traitorous seditionists in the South. Peoria's economic importance as this, like, world capital of whiskey production helped secure victory over the South because the feds, again, were charging taxes on alcohol to directly fund war efforts. So, quote, prior to the Civil War, the only income the federal government had came from tariffs and, well, we'll get to the Revolutionary War. So that these tariffs had to pay for the war. But in previous wars, such as the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812, the government would pass a temporary income tax to pay for the war. So that Revolutionary War, the Whiskey Rebellion tax, that was only ever meant to be temporary.
Okay.
But
Which
now,
adds probably to people being pissed off when they're like, well, we got to keep it because we have all this debt.
Yeah, I mean,
because they were expecting it to go away when the war was over, and now they're like, psych, we're broke.
Yeah. Well, I think they implemented it after the war was over, but it doesn't matter. The point is kind of the same. But in the Civil War, it wasn't enough money to only do it temporarily, so the Union instituted what was known as the sin tax. That was going to be a permanent tax on alcohol.
S-I-N or S-Y-N-T-A-X?
S-I-N space T-A-X. A tax for sinful things. So that was alcohol and tobacco. So they instituted this in 1862. By the late 1880s, so 25-ish years later, this tax was providing the single largest annual revenue stream for the federal government.
Damn. So like we would have been fucked without it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I think we still do have a form of the sin tax, don't we? Mm-hmm. We pay a lot in taxes for cigarettes and alcohol, let alone weed in the states where that's legal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So records show that as much as 50% of the national sin tax revenue collected by the government during the Civil War originated from the Peoria Pekin 5th Federal Tax District. So Peoria. So this was generated largely by Peoria distilleries and breweries. 50%.
That's wild.
Of the national revenue from the sin tax basically came from Peoria.
Yeah, which reflects like how much product they were moving. Mm-hmm. They were essentially supplying all of America.
Or at least enough that it got to all the people who drank most of it.
Yeah, that's wild.
So back to the mansplainers a little bit. Although some whiskey purists might argue that the majority of the nation's whiskey was made in Kentucky by the late 1800s, mm-hmm. Actual historical data refute that misconception.
Actually,
by 1880, the 200 distilleries located in Kentucky produced 15 million gallons of proof alcohol. But in Peoria, in that same time, they had 10 distilleries producing 18 million gallons of proof alcohol.
Damn.
So 15 million in Kentucky, but with more distilleries, but 18 million gallons in Peoria with 50% fewer distilleries. And the reason is because Peoria had industrialized the production of alcohol. Because again, we're talking late 1800s.
Yeah, they'd figured out the mass production side of it.
I also
Kentucky.
I also couldn't help but think of like, General Motors, I think Detroit, Michigan. That's like who first invented the assembly line.
Yeah.
So maybe
Midwest,
these Midwestern companies were industrializing more rapidly because it was just right in their own backyard.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And you also have to keep in mind that like hubs of industry on the coasts were in pretty densely populated areas like New York.
Mm-hmm.
Boston.
At the
time, Boston. Mm-hmm. So in the Midwest, we had more literal space to build factories and like experiment, quote unquote, or develop that kind of technology. And also we're just like better than you and smarter than you and more innovative than you. So there's that too.
Well, they did invent the computer in Iowa.
Yeah, they goddamn did.
Don't at me. I know that there are like 7 billion iterations of computer. Including just a room full of women doing arithmetic by hand.
Mm-hmm.
I am a computer.
No, you're not.
I gotta take a sip of this. It might be awful.
Have you not sipped it yet?
No, I've been afraid. Not bad.
Went through a whole range of emotions in that sip.
I felt like the Brittany Broski kombucha.
The meme. Love that bitch.
Okay, here's my favorite part about this little history segment. Due to a special exemption granted by the federal government to select Peoria distillers, because the government was like, okay, obviously all this shit's coming out of Peoria, so we have to treat them well or else they're going to not produce as much, so we have to give them some special favors so we can keep collecting all of this sin tax that's coming out of Peoria. Some distilleries in Peoria, or River City, I think that's Peoria, remained in legal operation during Prohibition. So just a reminder, Prohibition lasted from 1920 to 1933. I cannot believe it was 13 fucking years.
Yeah, there were some bigger breweries too that also stayed in operation, even if they shifted some of their manufacturing to something else. But
weren't they just canning water?
Yeah, some of them were, but I mean, I think some of them were also like still making booze.
Well, yeah. Okay. So Prohibition was from 1920 to 1933. This sin tax was still in effect, obviously, through
My
that.
God, Helen was alive during Prohibition.
That's disgusting.
Like she was 3 when it started and 16 when it ended.
Just in time.
Seriously, luck. Just in time for her to get drunk one time in like her 70s off of mudslides with my aunts.
She got drunk and didn't remember having sex with your grandpa, so that was the virgin birth of your father.
No. She never actually said that. She was so like affection averse that we all just created this narrative that there's no way
I thought she
my grandpa
literally
got her pants.
claimed
No.
she never.
My family, but this is obviously before I was born, but my family had been ragging her on that already for years before the mudslide incident.
You're so kind to this old lady.
She was incredible.
What was the mudslide? She just got trashed off a mudslide?
She had like 3. And I think that, I don't know if it was the same night or the same trip. My aunts love to tell me about this because they'd be like, "Do you want another mudslide, Mrs. J?" My aunt's
like at Applebee's?
Yeah, basically like a Chili's restaurant. I mean, my youngest aunt is 13 years younger than my mom. So like a lot of them were pretty young when my parents got married. And, you know, my parents didn't have kids for a while. So my grandma and grandpa like loved all of my mom's siblings and fucked with them hard. So they like went out and had visits. And I don't know if it was the same night or the same trip, but there was also an incident where they got her to eat like 8 ears of corn on the cob in one sitting. I know! This
corn fest.
So she corn fested and got hammered off of mudslides one time.
Well, this was the same night?
I don't know if it was the same night or the same trip or just a story that has always been told in tandem with this other incident of the corn.
8 ears of corn.
I know. Housed.
In a limited amount of time?
In one meal, one sitting.
Oh, well, in one meal.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I mean, also, she was like a tiny bird-like woman. It would be shocking to watch her eat 8 ears of corn. I also just can't imagine her eating something so, like, not demure. Because I pretty much only saw that woman eat, like, baby carrots and cold cuts my entire fucking life.
Yeah.
So.
I remember when she was staying with you and she was sunning on your deck in her negligee.
That's my mom's mom. That's not virgin grandma.
Damn it.
You always get those mixed up, too. I can't keep them straight. One's a slut. One was of the Virgin Mary.
But I kind of thought they were the same person because that's funnier.
No.
Okay. Well, I'll just leave my own personal Jacobson family lore.
That's fine. I love my own head. Anyway.
Okay, back to this tax exemption. Mm-hmm. So the federal government they wanted to keep Peoria happy. So some of the distilleries in Peoria remained in legal operation during Prohibition. These distilleries' primary customers were individuals who were given pharmacy prescriptions for medicinal whiskey by their doctors.
You got ghosts in your blood. Do cocaine about it.
I think you have glaucoma. Get super high.
Yep.
Among the entrepreneurial beneficiaries of the so-called medical whiskey law during Prohibition was Galesburg native Charles Walgreen.
No way. Of the Walgreens?
Who opened his first pharmacy in 1901 on Chicago's South Side.
Fucking Charlie Walgreen.
Walgreens was basically, they were selling whiskey during Prohibition.
That's my pharmacy.
Yeah.
It's right. There's one right by my house. There's 2 right by my house.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably be a CVS girly, but there are just not nearly enough that are convenient for me. And I'm on so many fucking meds that, you know, I had to go with Walgreens. But God.
Walgreens have Squishmallows. CVS does not.
True. Walgreens does have also like a really good food and snack selection.
I like the selection of Walgreens more, but I feel like I always have a better customer experience at CVS.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad we covered that.
Me too.
I have some whiskey facts for us.
Okay.
With a population of 5.4 million people and over 200 million barrels of whiskey in store, Scotland has almost 4 casks of whiskey per citizen.
What? Where do you fit them all? Scotland's not that big.
It's deep.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's so much whiskey. Y'all are drinking it.
They have 20 million barrels in store right now.
Thank you for doing that math, because there was no fucking way I was going to do it. What am I, a room full of women doing arithmetic?
What am I, a computer? What am I, a room full of women doing arithmetic?
What do you take me for? What do you think's going on up here? A room full of women doing arithmetic? Hell no.
Clearly more than what is going on in reality.
So much more. Can't keep up.
What do I look like? A room full of women?
Please start saying that with no context. What do I look like? A room full of women doing arithmetic? No, I can't meet that deadline.
Can't.
If you say it with confidence, then they'll think that they're stupid for not knowing what it is.
If you scream it in their face, they'll back down.
Always.
It's another way of putting it.
Yeah, basically, you're not wrong.
So, you know how like a bunch of states' official state beverage is like milk?
Yes, and I hate it.
Not
so
Alabama.
much. Thank God.
It's whiskey.
Thank God. You get 1 point.
Oh my God. A house finch came to my bird feeder.
Oh,
I got a bird buddy for Christmas. This is my first bird.
Wait, did you get it for Corey or did Corey get it for you?
Corey got it for me.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense. I had that mixed up in my head and I was like, quote unquote, you got it for Corey. I get so many targeted ads for Bird
It's a
Buddy.
girl. I mean, it's a boy. Wait, the boys are pink.
I don't know. He's gorgeous though.
He's pink. Oh my God. I gotta go. We gotta wrap this up. House finch. Two finches.
Oh, wow.
2025 is looking great for old Loose over here.
Well, we found what's tethering Lucy to this earthly plane in 2025.
It's my Bird Buddy app.
It's not my baby. It's my Bird Buddy.
It's my Bird Buddy app. All right. Official state beverage of Alabama, whiskey. Also, Mountain Dew was originally supposed to be a chaser for whiskey specifically.
That tracks, and it does work.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's green, just like pickle juice.
Mm-hmm.
Tragically, both Drake and Conor McGregor both own whiskey brands.
Yeah. Everybody owns a booze brand these days.
Even us.
Even us. Which we still have inventory. So please check out the Gal's Wine at wineandgrindpodcast.com.
The average measure of whiskey, so like a shot of whiskey, has 64 calories, which is less than a banana.
Love that.
Healthy.
You're saving money.
You are.
Mm-hmm. You're burning calories by drinking it.
Wild turkey relies on the same strain of live yeast for consistent quality across its bourbons.
Ooh, if that yeast, like, ever dies.
Mother. Well.
And I know they, like, pull a new section off. It's like, this is generations of the same, like, birthed yeast over and over and over and over again. But if that yeast line goes out.
Don't worry. There is an emergency plan in case anything happens to its Kentucky distillery.
Okay.
The company has secret caches of its proprietary yeast hidden across the country.
Under malls with the nukes.
Under Home Depot buckets.
Probably caches. That's buck.
Yeah. Iceland is home to just 2 whiskey distilleries. And I guess is Iceland part of Scandinavia? Probably.
I don't know.
It's gotta be. It's icy and
seems Nordic.
Caucasian up there. So Aquavit, not a whiskey, technically.
Mm-hmm.
But Iceland is home to just 2 whiskey distilleries, both of which use sheep manure in place of the coal or the peat that is used as fuel for kilning the barley after it's been mashed.
Okay, so it's not going in the product; it's used to distill the product.
It's used to
flames alive.
It's used to dry the mashed product.
Okay.
Well, sheep manure, whatever works, honestly.
Yeah.
Way
Whatever
grosser
lights.
shit has come out of Iceland. Sorry, that was really rude.
Preach. I don't know what you're referencing, but okay.
Fermented shark. I've never been to Iceland, but
But fermented shark, that's like a very traditional, like indigenous delicacy.
Yes.
So it's not for us.
Aquavit.
I like aquavit.
I don't.
Well, it's not for you.
It's not for me. That's fine.
That doesn't make it bad. I also love sauerkraut and horseradish. Things that a lot of people find gross.
Father mailed me a ball jar full of fresh horseradish, like shredded horseradish.
Well, I'm going to need to stop by your parents' place because I want some too.
Yeah.
Love it.
They grow it up at the cabin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, baby.
What?
Glenfiddich or Glenfiddich.
Mm-hmm.
Glenfiddich.
I always say ch. Glenfiddich.
I always said Glenfiddich. And there's another one, Glenlevitt, right?
Mm-hmm. Glenlevitt.
Well, Glenfiddich means Valley of the Deer.
Okay. Valley
And
of the Dolls.
also, fun fact, Jack Daniels ran away from his stepmother at the age of 6 and learned to distill whiskey from a Lutheran minister.
Love that. What a fun story that is.
If that is not factual, you can take it up with Ben.
Oh. So wait, you just told us all a lie that Ben told you?
Well, my Latin friend Ben, he's known for lying, and now he's helping me out with some notes, so I just included that with absolutely no cross-checking, because I wanted to believe it.
And then you did look it up?
Haven't looked it up. I'm choosing to believe it.
Oh. Well, then why would you say it's a lie if you don't even know?
It could be.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying if you listening know better,
Don't ruin it.
don't ruin it. Don't ruin the magic.
Let us have this.
Okay, let's get to this crime, because
Okay.
I've got a little crime for us.
Oh,
So-
petite cream.
This happened in Whiskey Creek on Vancouver Island in British Columbia.
We love Vancouver Island.
Beautiful.
Stunning.
So this area it's very, very remote. Lots of hippies there. Lots of unregistered trailer sites. People go there to kind of disappear sometimes.
Get off the grid.
There's lots of substance abuse in the area. Populations of unhoused people. This kind of grew during the pandemic as Canada had to empty out their prisons for people who were awaiting sentencing. There were just a lot of people kind of who had maybe fallen through the cracks and were just sort of like kind of gathering in certain places, including this area of Whiskey Creek in Vancouver. It's also beautiful. Lots of fishing, hiking, camping, outdoorsy stuff. It's a temperate rainforest. So there's like big old growth trees, fog, moss, ocean,
Gotcha.
salty air. Beautiful. It's 2020. It's Halloween.
Ooh.
That night, there are reports of loud bangs, possibly gunshots on the island.
Uh-oh.
But at that time, no one called the police because they were like, well, it could be fireworks. There's also a lot of outdoor target shooting in that area because it's really remote and it's, yeah, there's not like a lot of authority out there. So like no one called the cops. It's Halloween night. The next day, The next morning, there is a report of smoke coming from the woods around 6 a.m.
Okay.
But the cops were like, whatever. Like, there's a bunch of, like, homeless people out there. There's a bunch of unregistered trailers. Like, what? Whatever the cops would say.
They're probably lighting a fire.
When they do respond, by the time they respond, they found 2 completely burnt out trailers with 2 people inside.
Oh, fuck.
Unclear whether they were each in a separate trailer or they were both in the same trailer, but there were 2 trailers burned and 2 bodies found. And they determined that these people were shot prior to being left to burn in these trailers.
So someone might have been trying to hide evidence.
Yep. In an early news article, the police state that they will likely have to use DNA evidence to identify the bodies. So that was
pretty bad.
Pretty bad. That same afternoon, after they found these 2 people in the trailers, the afternoon of November 1st, a dirt biker found a man lying face down on Melrose Forest Service Road. That man was later pronounced to be dead at the scene. I'm pretty sure he was shot. I don't know the details. The 2 people in the trailer
were shot.
Trailers were shot. Not sure about the guy on the path. And then a 4th man was found shot in the shoulder. He survived.
Damn.
He just had a shoulder wound. Oceanside RCMP, Royal Mountain Police.
Royal Caribbean Cruise Line.
Yes. Royal Cop Mountain Police did not initially identify the victims of what they were calling at the time targeted killings. The Integrated Major Crime Unit had taken over the investigation in a rural area west of Coombs, located north of Nanaimo. So this area is a lot of really smaller communities. So since this rural area, which was west of Combs, which was north of Nanaimo, it's really small. So those people know who the victims were, but it hasn't been publicly, like, officially
announced.
Okay. But we know that the man who was found deceased on the trail, his name was Tyler.
Okay.
Don't have a last name. People are afraid of retribution, which we'll get to. The 2 people in the trailers were Shanda Atkinson and her partner, Sean McGrath.
Okay.
So Sean McGrath, who was 52 years old, had a lengthy criminal record and allegedly had the word crazy tattooed across his back.
All right.
Which we're not judging with tattoos.
No.
But it's just a detail because I will say, as of now, this case is not solved. So the victim found face down on the Forest Service Road was Tyler, who was, by all reports, kind, soft-hearted. He grew up on the island. He camped and fished and did all the normal things. He also grew up with a learning disability that his mother said led to bullying, pretty pronounced bullying throughout his childhood, but also into his adulthood, too. I think this is a quote from his mother, or at least from this article. Throughout his adulthood, Tyler had a tough time finding and keeping a job. Tyler's father owns a business and offers him employment, but working together proves difficult for both of them. Tyler's mother recalls her boy trying to make a go of several occupations. He was a mover, a roofer, a cleaner. So he didn't get along with his dad for whatever reason, and he's just kind of bouncing around job to job.
And his criminal history, was that mostly like drug charges?
He got into some addiction issues.
Yeah.
But there was no criminal history to speak of as far as like violent crime or anything like that.
I only bring that up just to serve as a reminder, just to take those criminal histories sometimes with a grain of salt, because it's like the same terminology used, whether it's a history of violent crime or like a history of really things that are crimes because they're exploitative of the penal system and they pay money to put people who have issues with addiction.
Yeah.
Fucking behind bars.
we will kind of get to that too.
Yeah. So it's not like he was a fucking like murderer or abuser.
No.
That we know of.
He was victimized from his childhood, adolescence,
into adulthood.
Another anonymous source says, quote, he was picked on. He never fought back. He never stood up for himself. He was a very loving person. He wouldn't hurt a fly.
Poor guy.
He was a good, gentle man that only ever wanted to help people. He wasn't a thief. He wasn't a robber. He wasn't a thug. He wasn't a drug dealer. He was just escaping something, I guess. So he developed a substance abuse disorder. He faced housing insecurity and eventually lived in this like campsite with the unregistered trailers. The police haven't identified a motive for Tyler's killing. The common conception is that he was just at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But due to the killers not being caught, his family is afraid to actually like speak out about what they might or might not know. So going back to this other man who was found dead in the trailer, Sean, the 52-year-old partner, was allegedly a drug trafficker and also allegedly the target of the attack that killed these 3 people and wounded another.
Okay.
His girlfriend, Shanda, is believed to be an unfortunate bystander that was killed. And given Tyler's substance addiction and also where they thought he was living at the time, it does track that he might have begun staying with these 2 victims or at least like hanging out at their place.
Yeah, I could have been there to get drugs, and then other
just been
person
there hanging
shows
out
up
or whatever. Yeah, just the wrong place, wrong time.
and he's on the road because maybe he tried to get away and they caught up with him and killed him because he saw shit he shouldn't have seen.
So this 4th victim, who survived with a gunshot wound to the shoulder, has not been identified and also has never spoken out about what happened. So he probably knows who the fuck did it.
Again,
they probably know who did it, and the bad people might have shot him in the shoulder to be like, we can fucking kill you.
Right.
Don't fucking say anything. So the Canadian police have not said anything of substance since the crime was committed. A lot of people, like I said, feel that this is due to the lives of the victims being flavored with the substance addiction and houselessness, which like puts them in the other category. I mean, we see this all the time.
Yep.
Every day. It happens everywhere.
Unhoused people, sex workers, people who have
addicts,
substance abuse disorders, like people who are mentally ill. This fucking happens every single fucking day.
So this happened over 4 years ago. There are no known leads, no official motives, and very little media coverage. So the fact that these families don't have any closure is
it's tragic.
Really fucking sad. I do have one more quote from somebody who knew Tyler in life. They say, quote, "These people are still alive. That's scary. I'm talking about the people that have done this, the people that have killed them, the people that are in charge, the people that are high up there, the people that run the dope on the island. They all work together. It was a pretty big hit to just be some peddling street thug." So that's what they're like. Wrong place, wrong time, because this was way too dramatic for anything that he might have been doing.
Right.
Tyler's mother had a monument created for her son and had it placed at the spot where he was killed, but the monument is not there. It's either been removed or was stolen.
Oh.
So if you have information about the 2020 Whiskey Creek murders, you can call the Tip and Information line, and that's at 250-380-6211. There's also a whole podcast called Whiskey Creek about this. So... yeah, find that, and I feel horrible for these people and horrible for these families, and that's the whiskey case.
Yeah, I hope 2025 brings an answer or two for this case.
Yeah,
that would be amazing. Well done.
Thanks.
All right, well, I've got a short little story for us. So should we take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors and then dive in?
I would love that.
Love it. It's the new year. Everybody makes all these different New Year's resolutions. And let's just be honest with ourselves. We often don't keep them because they're not easy to keep. Okay. But like, what if we told you there's one that could be easy to keep? Each year, Americans throw away 25% more trash over the holidays from Thanksgiving to New Year's. And this year, we can turn our New Year's resolutions into actions that make a difference by switching to Blue Land.
Blue Land saved me this holiday season.
And always. I haven't bought cleaning supplies, laundry detergent, dishwasher tabs at the store in years.
Yeah. Blue Land is on a mission to eliminate single-use plastic by reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet, but with the same powerful clean that you're used to. So the idea is super simple. They offer refillable cleaning products with a beautiful, cohesive design that's going to look great on your counter. It's going to look great on your counter and your counter and your counter. Beautiful things that you're going to want to leave out. Yes. So you fill your reusable bottles with water. You drop in a tablet, whether that's like a foaming hand soap, a counter spray, whatever it may be. You wait for it to dissolve. And you will never have to grab bulky cleaning supplies on your grocery run.
Nope.
Refills start at just $2.25. Hi. You can even set up a subscription or buy in bulk for additional savings. I know Amanda has a subscription.
Sure do.
Blue Land products are independently tested to perform alongside major brands and are free from dyes, bleach, and harsh chemicals. And let me just say, their hand soap, like sampler pack,
it's
with
the
all
best.
of these incredible, like holiday, wintry scents. They're so good. From cleaning sprays to that beautiful hand soap, toilet bowl cleaner,
Our fave.
and laundry tablets.
Obsessed.
All Blue Land products are made with clean ingredients that you can feel good about. Blue Land is trusted in over 1 million homes, including ours.
Blue Land has a special offer for our listeners right now. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/gals. You won't want to miss this. blueland.com/gals for 15% off. That's blueland.com/gals to get 15% off. Listen, many of us take supplements. I sure do. And a lot of us, know that we probably should add them into our routine. And it's, 2025. We're ready to help you set some goals and crush them, But why are so many supplement companies charging ridiculous prices for products that really aren't that special? It's very frustrating. It's frankly unacceptable. And that is why we want to introduce you to Live Good, a brand that is turning the supplement industry on its head.
Yeah, Live Good believes that everyone deserves access to high-quality supplements without the insane markups. They offer premium products formulated by an industry-leading team of natural health experts, and they cut out that middle guy to sell them at the lowest prices anywhere. So Live Good recently sent me these patches. There's one for energy and one for sleep. And I gotta tell you, they both make a noticeable difference.
Love that.
So I just stick that patch on the inside of my wrist like a half hour before I want to go to sleep. And the biggest difference for me, I'm a very, very light sleeper, and I usually wake up in the middle of the night to the degree where I can't fall back to sleep. So I end up just looking at my phone for like 2 hours in the middle of the night. But with these patches, man, if I wake up at all in the middle of the night, my sleep just opens its loving arms and just hugs me back. It's just so pleasant. It's easy to rest. That's it's a weird kind of relief to have, but it really, for me, these patches made resting just easier. It's a game changer. They also have organic super greens, multivitamins, collagen, protein powders, creatine, detox, hormone products, skincare products. We love that. All the highest quality products at prices people can actually afford. And no wonder why they are the fastest growing supplement brand on the planet with over 1.5 million customers and counting.
So if you're ready to make the switch and start saving, we'll make it even easier for you. Use our link and you can save an additional 10% off your first order on top of the already lowest prices. Just go to livegood.com/gals to save 10% on your first order. That's livegood.com/gals. Don't miss out on this opportunity to invest in your health without overspending. Okay, so my tale today is about a mysterious man named Darius Plazi. He was born in 1977 and is a Polish national who established the Bimber distillery in London in 2015, which received Bimber, which received such acclaim and success that he later initiated the Dunfell Distillery project in Scotland. He became a notable figure in the whiskey industry, with Bimber gaining recognition for its traditional production methods and Dunfell commencing operations in October 2023. So a little bit more about all that. His journey into whiskey is rooted in his personal passion for spirits and his desire to combine traditional craftsmanship with modern business acumen. His initial inspiration came from his family in Poland, who were involved in crafting small-scale spirits, particularly fruit-based distillates, shaping his respect for traditional distilling techniques and his desire to make his mark on the industry. It was a personal triumph when in 2015 he founded Bimber Distillery with a mission, again in London, with a mission to create high-quality single malt whiskey using the time-honored methods his family had taught him. Bimber gained a reputation for using traditional production techniques, including, and obviously I am not an expert in any of this, I'm going to try to explain it in the most basic way possible, and Lucy did cover some of it, and there's like a lot of chemistry and agricultural science to this that I don't fucking have a grasp of, so...
There's a lot.
Get over it.
Yeah.
So he used handcrafted wooden washbacks, which are massive fermentation containers. They're huge. It's very impressive and expensive to make these, and all of these were handmade.
So it'd be like a triple cask?
It's like bigger than that. It's a fermentation container, but it's made out of wood. So it's meant for like longer storage for the fermentation process, and then the wood will affect the flavor profile before it even gets into the cask for more flavor development.
Oh, pre-cask.
Yeah, basically.
Oh.
He used direct fired copper pot stills, which allow greater control over flavors. And a still is a distillation apparatus used to make whiskey by heating a liquid mixture to create alcohol vapors and then cooling the vapors to condense them back into a liquid. So that's like the basic process of distillation. And the pictures of the ones he used are on the drive. So they're beautiful. And they look very expensive. Oh, that's the cutest whiskey.
Oh, damn. They're pretty.
They're beautiful. He used a technique for the barley, which was sourced from a single British farm, so locally sourced. And they use a technique called floor malting, which is a time-consuming traditional method of prepping the malt after it's germinated, which you talked about, which like makes grain into malt. They have like very specific moisture requirements to get it to germinate just right. And then they'll move it to basically spread it at a very specific thickness across like a concrete floor in like a barn that's only for this purpose. And then they tend to it meticulously to make sure the temperatures and moisture levels in that room with the malt are consistently conducive to this like additional malting phase of prep for it to be used.
Germinates like just enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I
like,
would imagine that'd be a
babies.
really sensitive process.
Yes. And then the casks were hand selected for aging, including ex-bourbon casks, sherry, and specialty casks. So like Lucy said, the cask is the wooden barrel for aging, and the wood can be selected, like the cask can be selected specifically with wood that's treated or soaked with a specific thing, like ex-bourbon. It used to be soaked in bourbon, and now we're using that cask to age the whiskey in, and that adds additional layers to the flavor profile. So like a sherry cask whiskey is going to have like a sweetness to it and like pull in some of that wine element to it.
Darker color.
Yeah, it's the same thing with wine. What you age it in probably has the largest impact on the flavor profile, even more than like the grape in a lot of situations. So these methods are labor intensive because they are not automated. Like everything is tended to meticulously by hand. And they produce an exquisite product. So it took 4 years to release his first market-ready batch. Bimber released its first single malt whiskey in 2019 to significant acclaim. It sold out within minutes. Like they launched it on like their website, which they've been hyping up, and it was gone. Whiskey enthusiasts and critics praise its distinctive flavor profile, noted for their rich, fruit-forward, and smooth flavor, which appealed to both connoisseurs and casual drinkers, which was attributed to his meticulous approach to production and a focus on small batch releases using these like very traditional methods. Accolades from whiskey competitions and high ratings from reviewers elevated Bimber's reputation. It gained a strong following in Europe and Asia, where collectors eagerly sought out its limited releases. The launch was so successful that he then moved to expand within another 4 years, launching that Dunfield Distillery project in Scotland. This distillery was designed to replicate Bimber's coveted small batch high-end whiskey offering. I
thought that was a big-ass deal because it was in Scotland now.
Yes. Yep. Big deal that it's in Scotland. And they will incorporate similar traditional ethos to the production, but like it's a large-scale production so that everything's not selling out immediately. They can start putting it in, brick and mortar stores, in bars. Like this was a huge deal. So the Dunfield distillery in Scotland began operations in late 2023 and gained even more praise for incorporating eco-friendly practices, including energy-efficient distilling equipment and locally sourced ingredients. So this guy is like a huge deal in the whiskey industry over the past 10 years, basically.
Yeah.
Plazuski's whiskey business became a notable success story, particularly in the UK and among whiskey enthusiasts worldwide, and much of that was because of his family heritage and traditions being at the forefront of the brand. But something turned out to be amiss.
Oh, God.
So in early 2024, mere months after the Dunfield Distillery project launched and was like shelling out whiskey, it was revealed that Plazuski had been living under a false identity for 20 years. He had fled Poland in 2004 to evade a 3-year prison sentence for, we'll get to it.
Oh, it's got to be good.
So he was arrested in England in 2024 following an extradition request from Polish authorities who charged him with conspiracy to commit murder and drug-related offenses dating back to the late 1990s. Capitalism gonna capital, though. So following his arrest,
So you're fine.
You're fine. The management of both Bimber and Dunfield distilleries underwent reorganization to ensure continued operations. So they just distanced themselves from him, and they were like, but we have all the recipes and we own, all of the production. So we're still going to make this. Just don't look over there. This is fine. Whatever this is, it's fine.
You don't know anything.
You don't know fucking anything.
And you're expendable, so.
So Darius Plazuski was actually born Lucas Ratajewski. And
I should have known.
I know. Didn't see that coming. And was living under a false identity for about 20 years due to an investigation by Polish authorities for long-standing criminal charges, including conspiracy to commit murder, drug offenses, and a prior conviction for illegal firearm possession. Investigators uncovered discrepancies in his immigration and identity documents, which flagged his true identity and led to his arrest. This included inconsistencies in his reported background and the timeline of his arrival in the UK, as well as fingerprint evidence confirming him to be Lucas Ratajewski from those previous gun charges. But his sudden rise...
Post 9/11, right?
Oh, babe, he got arrested 1 year ago this month, or January 2024, he got arrested.
Jesus Christ.
So this is fresh.
Okay.
This isn't even, he hasn't even gone to trial yet. It's yeah.
She fresh.
This is post 9/11. His sudden rise to fame in the whiskey business that put him and his photo in the spotlight were def the nail in the coffin. Had he kept a lower profile than that, like he just kind of exploded after he was known after 2015 when he started putting out this Bimber whiskey, but it was like, again, it was a smaller situation. It was the Dunfeld Distillery project, I think, getting so much buzz and so much excitement.
It put the celebrity into it.
It put the celebrity into it. And, you know, he had maintained a really low profile and he was benefiting from the fact that there was minimal cooperation between Polish and UK authorities that allowed him to remain undetected. But now his like photo is out there. It's a lot easier to find him.
Yeah.
He was convicted of illegal firearm possession in Poland and sentenced to 3 years in prison in 2004, but fled Poland before serving his sentence, becoming a fugitive. Polish authorities allege that Ratajkowski was involved in organized criminal activities in the late 90s and early 2000s. These activities reportedly include connections to violent crimes and drug trafficking networks. One of the most serious charges against Ratajkowski is conspiracy to commit murder dating back to the late 1990s, but specific details about the plot and the intended victim or victims remain undisclosed because, again, this hasn't gone to trial yet.
Yeah.
This charge, however, underscores his alleged role in a criminal organization. So it's likely that he was part of an organized crime ring in that he would have been in his like late teens, early 20s when he got wrapped up in this because he's only like 46 or 47 now.
Right.
So I guess, no, 20 years ago, he would have been like 25, 26, 27. So he's still young. Like you're an idiot at that age. But we'll kind of get to that. So he is accused of participating in large-scale drug trafficking operations in Poland at this time in the 90s, 2000s. These offenses involve manufacturing and distributing illegal substances, including cannabis, LSD, and heroin, further tying him to organized crime groups because of the severity and like danger of the drugs. Obviously not pot, but like heroin and LSD can get sketchy, especially if you have no clue how it's made.
Yeah, I also feel like if
heroin's highly addictive.
If you're going to be the one like trafficking these things and dealing these things, you probably have a knowledge of these things.
Possibly. I don't know. I mean, you'd think, but
that's speculation.
Yeah, that's
entirely on my part. But
who knows?
I would argue.
Who knows? It's not
I would
unlikely.
argue that the harder the drug, maybe the worse things you're into. But
well, maybe not even necessarily worse things you're into, because I can imagine there are a lot of people who deal like heroin but don't participate. But, you know, you really have to like...
I'm not trying to paint with a wide brush.
No.
I'm just saying,
but
I think maybe
to your point,
probably more likely.
To your point, you do have to kind of detach yourself pretty hard from your humanity to just like willingly sell heroin, like such a deadly fucking drug, to other people. So like, you know, even if you're not doing it, you're no princess if you're fucking selling people heroin.
Yeah, not great.
You know, not the best. You know, start a podcast. You don't have to fucking sell heroin. So, considering the weight of these charges, it's pretty damn impressive that he was able to evade detection for so long. But if he was just sort of like a lackey, like kind of, you know, kid in his early 20s who is roped into some bullshit, I also can see that it's like, we're not going to go after this guy if he's like, we're going to go after the higher ups in who's bossing this fucking guy around.
Mm-hmm.
So the specific reasons why Lucas Ratajkowski became involved in criminal activities remain unclear because he has not publicly spoken about this aspect of his past, and I imagine he won't at all until trial. Yeah, he's facing trial. He's not going to talk about it. However, some contextual factors and patterns can help us to speculate wildly. So Poland in the 90s in general was kind of the Wild West. Like things were in some political turmoil. This was a time of significant economic and social upheaval in Poland as the country transitioned from essentially communism to market-based like capitalism economy.
Yeah.
The period saw a rise.
Consumerism.
The period saw a rise in organized crime due to economic instability and weak law enforcement. During this time, criminal organizations capitalized on the vacuum created by the dismantling of state controls, offering lucrative opportunities in drug trafficking, smuggling, and arms dealing. These groups often recruited young individuals from lower income or marginalized backgrounds, offering wealth and status that were otherwise unattainable. And Lucas was young and impressionable. Again, we don't know a whole lot about his childhood because he hasn't fucking told anybody. But it's not unlikely that he grew up poor. And so this was like something that could make him and his family some money. You know what I mean? So it's easy to believe that he could have been recruited into this work given the context of the time. And as we learn more about like his specific circumstances, we might get some more details around that. I'm so curious if we'll be able to access any kind of court documents because he's going to be tried in Poland. So I don't know what we'll be able to see, but I hope there's like decent reporting on this because I'm so curious like what his story is. I want to know so bad.
And also, like, it's so easy with the holes that currently exist in his backstory to kind of, like, make wild assumptions and come to different conclusions. And it very well might be something completely different.
Completely different. Yeah. He clearly didn't lie about all of his past because he did bring a very niche and specific set of skills with him into his new life. So I have a feeling that, like, a lot of the vague shit he said about his family and like what he learned from his family and his family making these like fruit-based distilled beverages was true. Like that part seems to track.
As far as like what his understanding might have been too.
But again, we don't have confirmation of much regarding his past or his upbringing, but I'm hoping we will as the case unfolds in court. He was very good at sticking to vague details about his life. There is no publicly available evidence that anyone who worked closely with Darius/Lucas was suspicious of his double life before his true identity was exposed. There was significant shock within the whiskey industry, with many expressing disbelief at the revelations. Some employees and colleagues stated that they had no reason to suspect anything unusual about his identity. He appeared to have carefully curated his new identity, presenting himself...
That's the point.
Yeah, well, yeah. But like he did a really good job. Like no one had any clue that he would be anybody other than himself. It was just
good for him.
Yeah, honestly, I'm here for it. He presented himself as a passionate and skilled entrepreneur in the whiskey industry. And people really liked working with him. Like all of this helped him avoid scrutiny. Some aspects of his behavior and background could have raised subtle questions for those who worked closely with him. But again, we don't have any evidence that anyone questioned any of this. But it's just something that I was looking into, like, how could there not have been any red flags? But these are the red flags that were likely presented, but like really easy to pass off. So I'm going to go over them as a cautionary tale and a lesson in never trusting a man.
Okay.
So some reports suggest...
Please reinforce that.
We have to, every episode. Some reports suggest that Plazuski / Rajanowski Lucas Radajewski, his accounts of his earlier life in Poland were sparse and non-specific, which could have seemed unusual to those who tried to learn more about his origins. Like, I don't know if he had girlfriends, partners, boyfriends, like anyone who wanted to really get to know him, he's like not given up much about his background. He was also, you know, interviewed for articles in like whiskey and booze enthusiast magazines. Like there's a photo on the drive of him holding one that I assume he was featured in.
Yeah, and he was like a prominent man.
Yeah, he just kept to a very basic backstory. And to be fair, a lot of people have like family trauma, reasons they're not connected with their families that much anymore. Like, I don't think I would really press somebody who is like, yeah, I grew up in Poland. I left around this time. I don't really talk to my family. Like, I don't really want to talk about it, but like, there's a lot there. Yeah. I just like, who would, you know, if there's no other reason to be suspicious, why would you like pry into somebody's past like that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, I do get that. There was also a lack of personal records or connections from his earlier years that may have been noted, but like not pursued further for similar reasons, especially if there's no reason to believe he had previously been involved in anything dangerous. He's an immigrant, so it would not be that hard to believe that some of his records were like lost in the shuffle. You know, like, sorry, I can't produce this exact like birth certificate. You know, I was born in Poland in the 70s. it wasn't all digitized.
Yeah.
Like maybe it got lost. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like if you're charismatic enough, it's like you can pass that off.
Because people would be like, well, how could I forget you? Like, how would I not remember? Like, you are you, obviously.
Yeah. He also would have avoided returning to Poland or traveling to other countries where his identity might have been checked. And if that behavior was noticed, it might have seemed odd considering his success, but like simply cast off and respect it as a personal choice. And I don't go to Poland anymore. I don't want to like run into my family. The community's really small, blah, blah, blah.
But as talk to my mom, don't ask me any more fucking questions.
Don't ask me any more fucking questions. I would respect that.
Yes, of course.
As of literally right now, Ratajkowski's legal proceedings are ongoing with extradition to Poland pending. So we will for sure be getting an update in the coming year. The revelation of his true identity shocked the whiskey industry. However, both Bimber and Dunfield distilleries quickly restructured their management to distance themselves from the controversy. Enthusiasts,
these old businesses, they're just like, oh fuck, our founder doesn't actually exist.
Yeah, founder, not even
CEO.
co-founder.
Oh God.
Enthusiasts and investors continued to support the brands, with the focus remaining on the high quality of their whiskeys rather than their founder's history, further proving that being a white man is the ultimate get out of consequences free card. And I specifically did not say jail because he'll for sure do time. Like if he's extradited and convicted of the charges against him, which now that this is pretty high profile, I think it will be hard not to get convicted.
Well, yeah, jail and consequences are not always the same thing.
No, but he could face a significant prison sentence, potentially decades, depending on the charges that are upheld in court. And it's just so frustrating because it's like, yeah, when you fled, you were like, 25, 27. Your brain's definitely not fucking fully developed yet because
but now you're
a white man. And you wanted to get out of 3 years in jail, and now you could be facing decades. Bro.
Yeah.
It's just like, that sucks, but
probably should have called a lawyer a minute ago.
A long time ago. So I get it.
I've taken one sip of this.
Listen, I've taken way more than one sip of my little friend.
Yeah.
But that's my story today, and I am going to be following this because there is so much news I don't want in 2025, and this is news that I do want in 2025. I want Ratajkowski updates, so please spam me with them when you see them, Wine Coven. I want them. I need them. Them. Anyway, happy whiskey crimes. So thank you for listening today, and if you are really wishing you could have listened to this episode, say, ad-free, and you missed our announcement last week, whenever that came out.
Whatever it was.
You should join us over on Wine and Crime Uncorked. You can head to wineandcrimepodcast.com/uncorked and sign up for your Uncorked subscription and get this shit ad-free, baby.
It's our new premium subscription. This is the platform we're moving to. We have so much extra content. So if this is the first time you're hearing about this, please check out Wine and Crime Uncorked. We have bonus episodes. We have episodes that just Amanda and I do. We've got our drunk dives, we've got our AMAs, we've got our happy hours. We have early release at XYZ. So check them out.
Ad-free episodes.
Happy 2025, everyone. And we are so excited to start this year because we have an awful lot in the works, including live shows. If you missed us in 2024,
we'll be announcing some dates soon, so stay tuned.
Thank you so much for listening. Happy New Year, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.